Let me talk to you about grouper trolling, and I'm going to provide you with a Florida Keys fishing report for the holiday week. What the locals down here call Hell Week. I don't know why, because I like it when people are down here spending money in the community. Welcome to the Good Karma Sport Fishing Podcast. I'm your host, Captain Ryan Van Fleet. Okay, let's get started. So, first, I want to talk to you guys about grouper trolling and why is it going to be so important to do this over the holidays? Because first, the groupers are pushed in something fierce right now. The grouper bite is on fire along the reef. We have had so much wind and the water quality is amazing down here. It's like the best I've seen in several years. So the water is very clear. Okay, it's very clear. And when that happens, it sets up for some amazing grouper fishing, especially when the winds are out of the north. Okay. And the southeast trades are even better, but hey, we're going to have a lot of north wind and northeast wind, and it's going to be really rough. Like there's going to be days where it's really rough, and a lot of guys don't like to chum and anchor on the patch reefs and all that stuff. They'd rather troll. Well, now's your chance to capitalize on some amazing grouper fishing using trolling plugs, okay? So it's super easy to do, actually. And I don't do this with clients because my clients prefer to catch these fish stand up or at anchor while they yellowtail fish. And, it's, I have a unique setup for how I do it. So on anchor. And so that's something that I go over in my communities and in my courses, okay, which are available at goodkarmafishingtackle.com. So I do have some unique ways to catch black groupers. So that do not involve speedos, which is the easiest bait to catch them on. Okay, easiest bait. So, but anyhow, so let's get back to grouper trolling. Okay, grouper trolling. Okay, so I have put together a very detailed blog for you guys, like step by step, with that's loaded with some gold nuggets, okay? With some gold nuggets for you guys. If you guys just follow this and then kind of adapt it to your setup, a lot of guys may feel uncomfortable with the braid line and and all that stuff, but anyhow, so I'm going to pull up the group patrolling blog and we're going to walk through it. And then after that, I'm going to do a fishing report and share something exciting with you guys. So let's get going here. I just love this time of year. It's my favorite. We have been crushing them, crushing them. I think last month we caught over 70 like five mutton snappers that were, and I would say 70% of them were like, I would say a good like 27 to 30 inches. So I'm like, it's just awesome. It's just been awesome fishing. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull up a shared screen here for you guys, and you guys all know that I move a little slow because I am a charter boat fishing captain. I do not record content for YouTube purposes to make money. So you, so you just have to bear with me here. So let's pull this up here. Okay, so I pull up my share screen options, and that thing is dug in there like an Alabama tick as usual. So let's pull that up. And there we go. Grouper fishing blog. If you guys have not visited my blogs, you guys are missing out because in each one of my blogs, I layer in like some good stuff. Okay. Good stuff that you guys go pay for the seminars, you got to drive to, and you might hear like a nugget, but they're really just selling you a bunch of shit that really doesn't work. So that's really what it's like. Oh, and by the way, here's what happens with them as I get into this. Whenever somebody is like trying to like sell a trolling motor or promoting a trolling motor or another product, they have to tell you that they got that product for free. Okay? So I actually know guys that were given like trolling motors down here and have backups of a different brand because they know that other brand breaks all the time. So, and how I know this stuff is I know the mechanics and they tell me, and they're like, oh, thank God you got this brand and not this brand. So I think you guys can put together the math on this stuff, but just know that they have to like if I get something for free, I have to legally tell you guys that I got it for free and I'm like, this is what I'm using. But if it's not coming out like that, it's just how shit works. So I would be very careful about buying products nowadays from influencers that are given stuff, because a lot of this stuff is just first generation. So I'm just kind of going to layer this stuff in because we get into Nomad plugs. And I remember the first generation of Nomad plugs, and they were shit. They were horrible plugs, but they did some work on them. And you got it. And then now the Nomads I've pulled with clients, I honestly I don't own any Nomads anymore. I'm using some other stuff, which I'll go through this Drupal blog that's working. But I have clients that have success with them. Okay. I just don't have any success with them, but they've worked at it. And that, like, if you go back and look at trolling motors, there's a lot of new trolling motors on the market today. And I caution people about buying first generation stuff. You have to let it work out the bugs. And if somebody tells you things that's like, oh, it's a great product, and I kind of look back on stuff and I kind of wish that I was in that boat where but I bought the products. And I kind of wish I would have waited a little bit. To say, hey, I'm having these issues, and I'm like, these are the things you need to look for. And now I will not promote a product until I know that it actually is going to, like, all the ins and outs. So just be very cautious because things are different now. Things are different now. So that's my little 2 cents for you guys. So just be cautious, especially with trolling motors. A lot of the reason why I'm talking about trolling motors, because it kind of gets into grouper trolling, because I do use a trolling motor now to do some grouper trolling because I want to get the speed right. And I'll go down a little bit through this. I want to maintain a speed, so I'm using a pretty reliable trolling motor. But anyways, it's just trolling motors are just a piece of plastic, and they're just like, I see guys buying 2 and 3 of them putting on their boats, and there's so much that you guys don't know about these things and the ins and outs, and especially the batteries. It's like a lot. So anyhow, if you're looking to buy a trolling motor and you want to know the ins and outs, you can book a call with me, and I will give you the ins and outs and what to do and what not to do. Okay. I am not going to share that publicly because of the amount of information that's out there and people are giving you hearsay. I'm just going to tell you like it is. So anyhow, that's enough of that. So just be very cautious about this stuff. Okay. Anything. Okay. So let's get into so that was my little, like, you guys know, I like to jump off a little bit and always read the comments on the trolling motors. Don't believe everything you see out there. Okay. That's it. Okay. Here we go. I'm going to walk you through grouper trolling, and this is it. So I talked to you guys about spawning. I give you guys some really good tips about spawning, okay? And I also, in my Solar Lunar and Tide course trip, I've got that in here planning, is I give you guys the nuggets. Oh my God, I give you guys like what you need. It's there for you. But yet, some of you guys have too big of egos and you're like, oh, I know everything. I go, well, okay, I like you guys because you guys are always going to be stuck. Okay, so I'd rather have a guy fishing against me that's always going to be stuck because I know that he's not using the right shit or he's making the right planning. But I've got other guys that are in my groups doing well now. They just started and they're kicking ass because they're actually listening and they're actually just like applying stuff that actually works to catch more fish. Okay, so let's get into it a little bit more. So I really encourage you guys to go through and read about the science of the spawn. Okay, and the cycles of groupers. It's going to help you catch more fish. Trust me on that. Okay, groupers laying in the grass. This one's off Key Largo. Pretty badass shot there. You can see how he kind of adapts his coloration. We've got selecting trolling plugs. Listen, I'm not a huge fan of Nomads. I'm not, but I know guys that catching them on, and they catch a lot of groupers. Okay. So have I ever caught a wahoo on a Nomad? No, but I've caught some groupers on some Nomads. Okay. So these things dive 20 to 30 foot deep. Okay. And if you get that dialed in, and also too, I'm going to go through how you get dialed in on the reef here. So the colors, this is a good client of mine, Bennett. Nice grouper. He caught in December, like 2 years ago, I think it was, with that color 220, like with the biggest Nomads you got. They dive 20 to 30 feet, and I'm going to give you some tips on how to control the depth so you don't get snagged up. Okay. Also, too, I go through and I tell you guys how I fix my scratches on those Nomads. Okay, so they rub against the reef. They say they're one and done, but they've actually gotten a lot better. They've actually gotten a lot better. Again, they're working generationally. I like to see that. It's an Australian product. It's a great product. Um, in the past, I put them down, but I got to say they're tracking straight now. And if you guys are going to replace the hooks, do not use. I do not like. There's certain hooks I don't like. Okay, the only hooks I like with those are the wide gap BKKs. That is the most like lethal hook for a grouper or a wahoo. And if you guys are missing fish because you're using another brand of hooks, listen, the BKK hook is designed to kill wahoo and it's designed to kill groupers. It's lethal. Switch those out, okay? Use the big wide gaps. And in the future, I'm going to put how I do that, okay? I'll probably have that in my Patreon group. And if you guys haven't joined my Patreon group, just go to Patreon, Good Karma Sport Fishing. It's free, or you can sign up for the next level there. And then for the extended content, but I'm going to put that up in my Patreon group as a special like little video. So anyhow, so that's something on the side. Please join up with that. Lots of good content there. I'm taking like years of podcasts. I'm going through to find out which ones that I think that are going to make the most, that you guys can get the most useful use out of it, and then go from there. Okay. So I talked to you guys about how I take care of my plugs when they get scratched. And I do this with my Halcos as well. Okay. Halco plugs, killer on groupers. They love them. Okay. But you got to get them deep. And how do you do that? You do that with trolling weights. Okay. Trolling weights, 64 ounces, heavy inline trolling leads. That's how you do it. Or you can use downriggers. So, and I use 15-pound leads, get you down deep, but that's tricky, and you gotta like know what the hell you're doing with those downriggers. They're not as easy as you think to pull. Trust me on that one. It's taken years to perfect them and years of modifications to get them to where I can pull at extremely high speeds with not damaging anything. Okay. So also too, you got to verify the depth of the trolling plug at speed over ground. Go through that, read it, and how I do that before I go. And I highly suggest if you're coming down here, you want to make sure that all your stuff is running right. So I go through and I show you exactly what I do with all my trolling plugs. And how do I have time? I make time. Okay. So, and also too, and how to make the side, how to get stuff adjusted correctly. And some plugs just want to like run a little bit to the left, and some plugs run a little bit to the right. And sometimes that's okay. Sometimes that's okay, but you got to like work on that and get that set up for your boat. Okay. So I go through and I tell you how to recognize issues, what I do. I mean, I go through a lot of trolling plugs. I like spend a lot of money on trolling plugs. Okay. So the setup I use for grouper fishing, I go through that. For myself, I've always used 30 to 60-pound braid. I like that in between. Sometimes I like that for lighter plugs like the Halcos and stuff. I like 30-pound braid. It's extremely strong. Gets you down deep. That's enough for like a 20-pound black grouper. Trust me. I mean, I'm catching big amberjacks on 30-pound braid. Like we caught a 70-pound amberjack like a couple weeks ago. The thing I could even like, it took two of us to lift it. It was brutal. So on 30-pound braid. So anyways, that's enough for a black grouper, okay? So, but if you feel uncomfortable, you can bump it up to 60 pound, okay? It's like, oh. But anyways, so we were pulling 60 pound the other day, 60-pound braid. We adjusted, and the Nomad was getting down to about 30 feet. You know why I was getting down to 30 feet? Because I was bumping bottom and I snagged. So, but we didn't catch any. We didn't spend a lot of time on it either. So just maybe a good half hour. Pairing this, like I said, I like a 60 to 80-pound fluorocarbon. But you can get away with 100 pound, 120. I mean, it just depends on the groupers, if they're pressured or not. Grouper rods. I also go through and tell you and show you a little video of the grouper rods that I use for stand up in the blog. The trolling speed, 2 to 5 miles an hour, very important, very important. So that and as far as what patterns they like, I think that they like that downhill. They prefer that. Okay, so just that's in there as well. I go over the trolling patterns, finding the visual cues. You go through there is like, hey, if you got a lot of bait, you see a lot of birds along the reef, get your ass in there. Okay, that's probably mutton snappers. in there chasing schools of ballyhoo. This time of year, you'll get the netters up in Key Largo. This is like an old local trick, you know. So the old local trick is to like the netters will go out, the netters corral them, and then the guys see them, and the mutton snappers come up and they catch. It's like one of the oldest local tricks in the book. And not a lot of guys talk about it, but it got out there on a video now and everybody knows about it. So anyhow, so when the netters go out, that's what happens. And also too, when the ballyhoo netters go out there, I've seen this thing happen too. I've seen like an amazing bite of like great fishing, and then the netters go out, and then the next day there's no fish. There's no sailfish, there's no tunas. It's just interesting to see that. I don't know if it correlates to that, but I've heard, I don't know. But and maybe it's just that but if you do the math, if there's no bait, there's like no ballyhoo, there's no sailfish sometimes. So who knows? Maybe there's a correlation. I'm not a tree hugger, so I just go where the fish are at. Um, yeah, I talked to you about the visual cues. And then stay alert to your trolling depth. This is very important. Okay. This isn't just like I see guys out there high speed trolling. They have the music player and they're dancing in the boats and stuff. But if you're gonna go grouper fishing, this is intense. And I wonder why so many guys hit crab pots. I got a buddy that runs lobster lines, and they just load up on high speed lures every year, and they take them to the. If you want some really good high speed lures, just go to the local shop here in Key Largo, like the Simon's Shop, Mother Ocean. So what the lobster guys collect all those guys that run those high speed lures and leads into their lobster lines because they're not paying attention, and then yeah, they take them and they sell them at the Mother Ocean. So good for you guys. They've got a few of mine too because sometimes those lobster buoys are a pain in my ass, but it's a necessary part of it's all part of the Keys Wahoo fishing lifestyle, and it is what it is. So I don't get upset about it anymore, except when I lose a bait. I've learned how to cuss internally instead of externally, and sometimes I just let it go. So I do have to let my clients know that sometimes I'm going to get pissed, and it's all part of like being part of it's all part of it. If I don't get upset, my clients don't think that I give a shit. So it's just like, hey, you got to show some emotion. Okay, so you got your boat driver. This is what I want you guys to do to be successful. Okay, this is very important. The guy that's driving has to communicate with the guy in the back. So let's say you're dropping, if you're like the best grouper trolling happens along 20 to 50 foot of water. Now, if you're using planers, you can get out there to 100 feet. And a lot of guys are using LPs now and doing that stuff to catch groupers. I don't do any of that shit. It's all hand cranking. And that's the way that that's what my clients want. They laugh and they don't want electric reels. So anyways, we do it all manual, which is fun. So we use Talicas and it's pretty, we destroy them with that. So anyhow, we've got the depth. What I want you guys to do is say, this is the boat driver, and this is what I want the boat driver. This is what I do. Okay. I say, all right, we're getting shallow. Depth is dropping to 15 feet. Reel up a bit. Okay. To keep from snagging. And then as an angler, you got to communicate back and you got to say, yeah, I know, I'm good. And like, don't snark off to the captain because captain will get pissed at you. So, especially if the fishing's slow. And if your buddy's driving the boat, take it easy on him. So as you continue along the edge, the ledge, the depth starts to increase. The captain say, okay, drop it back, and then it'll hit the bottom, and then you can go from there. You can do that with your planers too. You want to figure out how deep a number 4-6 is getting. Take it in on the sand, and then run at the pace you're trolling for wahoo until you bump the bottom. Okay, you can figure that out, calibrate your planers that way. That way you know what depths you're at, all that good stuff. And that's something that I'm going to talk about in the future. Okay, we've got additional tips. I've got the inline removable lead from the tackle room, or you can make one, so go through here. And then you can I also talk about the inline removable bridles. And then this is an amazing plug. This is from the setup. I would use this Gulfstream pink and blue for groupers right now. So I've got the link right there for this one. And I am an ambassador for Gulfstream. I do get a commission on sales. So that's also too that if you're an ambassador for something, and you're an affiliate, then you have to be careful out there because there's a lot of guys that are selling stuff that are affiliates and they're not telling you that. So I am an affiliate um, for Gulfstream. I believe in their products. They make a great sea witch, and they're working at getting better all the time. So I carry them at the tackle shop for the tackle shop. So I get them in there, and because I do believe anything at Tavernier Creek Marina at the tackle shop is stuff that I use. Okay, so we're looking at different stuff right now to see what we're going to bring in for this coming year. And right now we just brought in new stuff for the season, for the Christmas season. Hooks for groupers, specifics, and also a specialty split shot that I use which is a 1.5 ounce, which I'll be talking about in the future. So we have all that stuff that you need, including the BKK number nines, which is the absolute best hook for groupers. It's hands down. I like that hook and for big muttons, one of the best hooks. I don't know what it is about that hook, but and I love the inlines. I don't like the offset so much anymore, but I love those inlines for groupers. Okay, so I've also go through the swimming ballyhoo secrets for the wahoo and groupers. Now, guys down here have been using, it's like you can use Islander lures down here, and then you run them like you're running for wahoo fishing, and just use heavy inline weights. Same thing. Get in there in 20 foot of water, slow down, run them down sea, catch some blacks. Okay. I also go through the SatFish. Now this is fun. I also use SatFish for grouper trolling. Okay. And what we'll do is if you go here and click to this one, make sure I've got everything here before I go there. Now I've got a grouper bonus there for you guys that are new to grouper fishing. I've got a grouper fishing bonus that's very good. Get you started. You'll start catching black groupers. If you really want to catch them consistently, I highly suggest you get involved with some of my programs at goodkarmafishingtackle.com. I also have some older podcasts that I've done in the past here that you guys can click on. But this one, we're going to go to SatFish here. So I'm going to click on the link. There we go. This is the how to using SatFish to target groupers in the Florida Keys. Okay, so you'll come through, and I give you guys. You have to go to the SatFish website. I give you guys some details on how to find areas with black grouper. I also circled some zones here that you guys can try. Okay, on the SatFish site, but you got to go to SatFish. You got to check it out, and to get signed up for SatFish so you can see all this stuff, especially these color changes. You'll have a north wind, and this is very good for finding the edge. So this is the true color imagery. Finding out where the dirty water's at on the patches, which you want dirty water versus clean water, and all that good stuff. And then I got some good stuff in this one here for SatFish. And sign up for SatFish. Use my code GoodKarma to get $20 off. Okay, it's well worth it. Spend time studying the currents. Okay, spend time studying the currents, studying the chlorophyll, studying the movements, virtual fish. Okay, virtual fish. Trust me on that one. Okay. Okay. So that is it on grouper fishing, guys. I want you guys to just go through the blogs. Go through those blogs. There's a ton of stuff in there. I know I laced a lot of stuff in there. So I talked to, and also to just know that color does matter. Anybody that tells you that it does not, and also it's not always about matching the hatch either. Matching the hatch is like the easiest way out for a fishing guide, okay? Or in a seminar. It's not always about matching the hatch. Not always. These fish like certain colors, certain times of year, and the guys that fish on the full moons and new moons and all that stuff, that's the easiest time to fish. I fish them all the time. And when you go, it was so funny. I saw a Facebook group, and Facebook groups are crazy. I'm like, and who are you talking to anyways in those groups? Some guy, God bless him, he wrote, "What's the best wahoo lure color? What's not color? What's the best wahoo lure?" And then all these people chime in. Thousands, not thousands, but hundreds of people comments, and there's a lot of smart ass comments in there. And I'm like, I feel bad because who are you talking to in there? Guys that fish the full moons, guys that fish the new moons, or guys that fish all the time for these fish, all the tides. Anybody can go out there and catch a wahoo on a full moon frontal and get 6 bites. New moon, yeah. but not everybody can catch them all the time in all the crazy conditions. Okay. So it's so funny. I it just anyway, so if you really want to get dialed in, the guys, that are in my group, they know. These guys are given like amazing information and they're applying it. And it's really about applying it too. And I can see why guys are so damn confused. I can see it. It's so like, I feel bad for them. I feel bad because they have like YouTube, and now YouTube is all about promoting different products and brands and getting paid for it. And does that product really work? Probably not. Probably not. So I'm just going to leave it at that. Okay. Just going to leave it at that. Now, you can either stop listening to this podcast now, because now I'm going to like, you can go, you can leave if you're like just here for like the free shit. Okay. But if you really want to advance and be good and catch fish consistently, and like, this is, you guys will want to like listen. If you're not like here to like get better, now I just want you to go away. Go. You can go on to another video. So, so this is for the guys that want to get better. I have a new one that I'm releasing. It's a new Wahoo fishing course, and it's strictly like how I live bait. Okay. So I've had some Wahoo courses out there in the past, and I really wanted to focus on by season. So I am in my live bait season now for Wahoo, and I'm going to show you how I do it. Okay, with certain items. Okay, I'm not going to like go into the depth of what I'm going to share because of the copycat syndrome out there, because I do it differently. So, but I'm going to show you how I line up. I'm going to actually, there is going to be a fishing day involving live bait, and I'm going to try to get a couple different wind scenarios in there and how to really catch these fish when they're dialed in deep. Okay. These fish are getting pressured by the spear divers now like something fierce. And it's so funny. I see guys out there trying to hide their dive flags now, because now they make the now the dive flags are really low in the water. It's like you guys are hiding. I was like, come on. So, and I've actually had spear divers now that are following me and jumping in front of me because they see me catch one. And that's like, it's crazy. Or they're trying to hide their dive flags now by not even putting one up early in the morning. So they're in there at night. And that's another thing too, is that I'm gonna give you like a little freebie here. The Dwayne wreck. Those fish come back in there at night. There you go. Get in there, get them at night. So if you're a diver, go in there, get them at night. Anyhow, so I'm not a big fan of spear divers for Wahoo. I see some really disgusting shit going on out there that's not safe. So I'm really like, I'm over it. So I don't care anymore. So I've seen what I did to I've seen like the old school guys were cool. Old school divers, they were respectful, but this, like, I don't know what's going on now. This is a free for all. It's a kind of a shit show and somebody's going to get hurt. So anyhow, the new course, we're going to dig into some specialty stuff, and I'm also going to give you seasonality with colors on lures. We're going to dive in a little bit more there. So I want to, this is for guys for next level stuff that really want to learn, or you can just go back to the Facebook groups and dig in and watch hundreds of hours of YouTube videos that don't really mean shit. So that's it. So I love it. I love it. I love that the guys are signing up. I love it all. I want to like give a shout out to my newest member of the Good Karma Sport Fishing Fishing Club. It's my upper tier club, and he contacted me and he was watching. I was like, he said, "Man, my frustration is like I'm seeing these guys catching these flag yellowtails, and I just can't seem to his first one, and I really want to progress." It took two text messages with him. Okay, two. And before we even had our first meeting and a couple phone calls, and he showed me the results. And he's like, because he was frustrated because guys throw these flag yellowtails in their face like they're the only ones that catch them. And I'm like, dude, I'm gonna get you dialed in on these flags without even like blinking. You don't need somebody to be on your boat to show you, and you don't need to come fishing with me so I can teach you how to do it. I can just get you dialed in. And he's like, okay. Sure enough, flag tails sticking out of the bucket, caught 10. Next trip goes out, crushes it. So now he wants to progress into doing more mutton snapper fishing, and that's where we're going to go with it. So awesome, bud. Awesome. So happy for you, and I'm so proud of you, man. And just you're doing the work. You're doing the work. So anyhow, we've got the pre-buy for the Good Karma, the new Good Karma Sport Fishing Wahoo live bait. And what you're gonna do for that one, you'll go. I'll show you how to. I'm gonna. We go to goodkarmafishingtackle.com, and I'm gonna do a shared screen for you here. You're gonna get yourself, and you're gonna get yourself dialed in on some big wahoo using live bait, catching them on spinning rods. Okay, and that's what we're gonna go with. That's what I'm going for. I want you guys to be successful this winter, and when it starts getting cold, it's like not about speedos either. And everybody wants to catch fish on bonitos now. That is the absolute worst bait to target big wahoos with because you miss so many. You miss so many. And you got all these hooks and like, oh, I got a wahoo on it. But you know what? I'd rather catch six than one big one. And I'd rather catch six big ones than one on a bonito. It just, and then you got to invest in all those tuna tubes and all that shit. Go ahead. If you're one of those guys, spend that money because you're watching that YouTube. I know a lot of guys that bought a bunch of like all this slow pitch jig shit and they're already selling it because they're watching a bunch of YouTube videos and stuff. Anyhow, and Facebook groups. So here we go. Here we go. We got the new 8-week intensive Wahoo winter bait and strategies course. We've got the pre-buy up here now. So and I kind of go through a little bit more. I kind of covered a little bit what I'm going to cover, and we go through the lessons and stuff. But anyhow, so and for those of you guys that stuck around, you'll get the fishing report now. Anyhow, we've got some really good fishing out there. We got the north wind to set up some amazing reef fishing. We've got black groupers along the edge out to 100 feet. There's been some giant mutton snappers in there as well. When you have the ballyhoo schools in there, it's really good. Okay. Deep water fishing right now, we have some awesome yellow eye snapper fishing the guys are doing. Like I said, the best yellow eye snapper fishing comes outside of the Key Largo hump down to the Little Hump area off of Isla Morada. And then you have the Broken Bottom and 450 and 420. You can go and do some deep dropping in. If you're looking to get dialed in a little bit more on the deep dropping, you can book a personal call with me as well. And also, too, for you captains that are looking to get better, I'm always looking to get better, and you want to like look at some new fishing strategies and stuff, then I have a captain's call available for that as well, captain's program. So that's all I got, guys. I want you guys to have a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Um, Tell your wife you want a course for Christmas. And also, too, you can get signed up for the new Good Karma Patreon group. It's $25 a month, and we go through rigging. Those guys get a lot in that group. It's awesome. It's awesome. We just had a great meeting. What happens in that group? I do a once a month video. I ask them what they want to do, what they want, and if they come up with anything, then I'll provide it. And then we have a live call as well. So we're going to be doing a live call through Zoom on there with a Zoom chat, and then you can ask me that we're moving. We've got no, or we have a Facebook group, but I'm moving off Facebook as far as I'm giving the guys another option with the Patreon group. So some people like Facebook, some people don't. I don't know. I'm not a huge fan, to be honest with you, of Facebook. So that's all I got for today, guys. If you're looking to go fishing with me, I've got some availability to go wahoo fishing and go mutton fishing. And at the end of the year, I think I got I'm looking at my calendar. I might have a couple dates available at the end of the year before the grouper season closes. But anyhow, oh, there is some dolphin out there. There is some dolphin. When the wind shifted around out of the southeast last week, there was some good dolphin in 750. Okay, lots of them. There you go. And then go grouper trolling. Easiest way to catch a grouper. I know I ranted and raved, kind of like an old school podcast, but I gave you guys some valuable information, and that's what it's all about. And I'm always going to tell it like it is. And that's it. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and remember, anytime you're fishing, it's all good.